let's start the meeting. And Mark can join us today. He's currently in transition. So as usual, actually we'll make the demo without him, and after that I make a recording and send him so he can approve afterwards all the functionality which is gonna be demoed today. I really wanted Alexander Luzun to visit this demo because Alexander is an owner of Asynchronous API and the bulk API track, which is implemented by community. Because today we will show how Asynchronous API introduced and used in a business functionality of MSI. And probably we will start from this feature, which is going to be demonstrated by Ricardo, who made this functionality in the scope of contribution day during the Meet Magento in Poland previous weekend. So Ricardo, feel free to share your screen and.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, you should see my screen. Basically, yes, what I did is to add the asynchronous bulk operation to this mass operation. So previously, this was approached by a single synchronous operation that was acting at low level. So it was basically using a resource model to apply the modification. And of course, when you use such approach, you have a lot of issues with reindexing and whatever, because basically you're not engaging the plugins. So what I did is to convert all this old approach to one single item update. So I created one API to update each single item. And then all this process is made in an asynchronous call. And I used the work that Lizun, I hope this is the right pronunciation actually, did with the bulk API. So we still have something to fix, but just to make an example, if I choose these two products and ask for assign inventory bulk operation, the interface is almost the same as before. So we select what are the sources we are going to assign these products to. But when I click assign source, the operation is not synchronous, but is put in a queue. Currently, I'm running RabbitMQ. So if I say assign source, now of course it will be quite quick, so we got the effect almost immediately, but it is asynchronous. So I got a notification here that my task has been successfully updated. As you may probably notice, the description is not so good, but we are working with Lizun to fix it, because as far as now, it's a limitation of the bulk API operation. One of the main changes, as I said before, is that we are not going to process the operation as one single resource model operation. But basically, I created, I don't know if you can see my PHP storm. Can you see it, or are you stuck on my?
We are stuck with your UI.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just give me a minute. I'm stopping the share and sharing you again. Desktop 3. Okay, now you should see it. So what I did is to create 3 classes for source, assign, source and assign, and inventory transfer that are applying this operation for each single item. And the bulk API basically is calling this operation for each single item. And that's it. It's almost working. And basically, I was able to reduce even the code base because now I can rely on existing features, and it's much way better. Actually, if I knew from the beginning, probably I could avoid to write up a lot of code.
Thank you, Ricardo. The only thing which I think we need to keep that, because I really like your initial interfaces which accept an array of entities. And what we can do, because currently, like what you did, you prefer scalability in favor of performance.
Yeah.
But actually, there is no guarantee that we will have the scalable enough operation, because potentially our operation cannot scale. Like maybe we'll have a bottleneck on a level of database or something. So it's better to have performance-friendly API which accept an array of entities. But for example, to scale this operation, we can proceed not like saving all the entities at once. But
Yeah, you say a bunch of them, so
yeah.
multiple bugs. Yeah, well, actually, I've been thinking to this approach before refactoring the code. My only concern is what happens if one single item fails. This is my concern. Yeah, so I agree with you because, but my problem is this one.
But actually, what happens, for example, now, if transferring of the single source item will fail, you'll probably just ignore it because it's independent work which can't influence anyhow other source item importing. So I believe you'll just skip it, and you will tell in the log of the operation that something went wrong. Actually, in the bulk API currently,
yeah, because I like the approach of the bulk API. So you get a kind of automatic report whenever you run an API call. So this is why I passed one array of single items, because if something fails, you basically have one report out of the box that is already working. This is why I prefer this approach. But tell me, what is the best way?
Actually, I prefer to have your initial interface, because we already made this mistake with the full Magento when we initially decided to introduce, when we initially decided that we can solve the performance problem with the scalability, and decided to have all the service contracts which operate on a level of one entity. That's why, for example, you will see all the repositories in Magento which operate with the only entity, like save, which does not accept an array, but instead it accepts the single entity. And now we stuck with performance issues. And actually, after a year of working with Magento 2, we decided to introduce all the newly created interfaces which accept an array of entities, but not single.
Okay, and what do you think about? Well, when I run an asynchronous operation, I got that report on the top of the page as notification, in which I see your task was executed and I updated n items. So it reports the number of items. Now we got the number of operation. So I don't know if we can.
We still.
Because if, for example, if my bulk update is made by 100 products and I select, let's say, 150 products, I can only see 2 items has been successfully updated. It can be misleading, actually. So it's very stupid, of course, but I think it can be a problem from the usability perspective.
I believe. Yeah, so I believe the issue currently in naming, because we supposed to say not 2 items but 2 chunks, for example, has been processed. So we can create.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we can create a bulk which consists of several chunks and say that we process not 2 items but 2 chunks instead.
Yeah, I can talk with Lidzun, maybe if we can sign up, because I think this same problem will be even elsewhere if we want this approach. So maybe I can work with him, since I already have to send a contribution to change the label, because now the label is almost meaningless. So I can help him with this contribution as well.
And by the way, tomorrow we'll have a contribution day. Actually, you can see that I'm not in the office. I am now in Lviv, the Western Ukrainian city, where we're supposed to start the meetup in a half of an hour. And tomorrow we'll have a contribution day. So if you would have a spare time, you can join us and we can talk more closely regarding the...
Yeah, I have to convince my wife, but
yeah. Of course. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that's really great work. So it's really interesting to see how one community project affects another community project, and that we are getting all the outputs of one project in the scope of another. So it's really interesting to see. Thank you very much, Ricardo. And
you're welcome.
So let's follow our agenda. The next one gonna be Alessandro, who will show you another work which was done in the scope of the contribution day before Meet Magento Poland. Alessandro, are you ready to?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just give me a minute to share my screen. Okay, do you see it? Yes. Okay. Can you please confirm me that you're seeing my browser?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So the scope of the issue. This is an issue we had on low stock report, not displaying products when single stock mode is enabled. So first of all, let me show you that we are in single stock. So we only have the default source here and the default stock as well. And let me also show you a configuration that we have low stock notification below certain amount. So I'm basically checking preconditions. So I have enabled the notify below 20. And let's go to my product catalog. Let's take, for example, this back, and let's say that we have quantity of 15. That's below the 20 threshold that we have seen. And this is the actual result of the report without applying the fix. So we don't get that product. I cheated a bit because I forced my fix not to be applied. So let me just apply it. Let's save again this product. And let's see if the report is now populated. Now we see the product in the report. This is due to the fact that when we are in single source mode, we don't have the grid of product quantities. So we had a check for that. And in case we didn't find any parameter, we didn't do anything. This is still a work in progress. I show you also the table where we have this row populated, whereas before we didn't have it. This is still a work in progress pull request because working on that, I also realized that we still have an issue if we, for example, apply a mass update. Let me show you. If I, for example, change a quantity below 20 for these two products, let's say we have 10 and I save. Low stock reports still don't show any data related to those two products that I just updated. And what's more, I also have a suspect that import won't work as well. So this is the first step of my fix, and I will likely work on that in the next week and hopefully give you an update about this issue in progress. That's basically all from my side. If you have any question, feel free to ask. I'm here.
Great, Alessandro. Thank you for your update. And thank you that you find additional scope of work, and we will continue to proceed on this task.
Thank you.
I believe there is no question because everything was clear.
Okay.
From your presentation.
I'm not sure I managed to unshare my screen. Are you able to?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Let's proceed further. And the next one gonna be Ivan, who will show you support of the grouped product in the scope of the multi-source inventory.
Hi all, let me share my screen. Now I will show you grouped product support. I've created custom stock with custom source and assign it to main website. Now let's create two simple products for group. Assign these products to the created source with the quantity equal to 100. Save this. Okay. Let's create a group product with created simple products. When we assign simple product to the group product, we can see on the right side quantity for all sources assigned to the product is displayed. Let's check this product and assign. After assignment the products, quantity per source duplicate on grid with assigned products. Now let's create order with grouped product. After we have create order, we can see that the order quantity was reserved on custom stock. Now create shipping for order. Shipping, we can see shipping is created and go to product grid. After we created shipping, we can see that the shipped quantity was deducted from source. I think it's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Ivan. So, in the scope, actually, that was a finalization of all the work we've done devoted for the group product support of multi-source inventory, and currently we have just a gap in one product type in a bundle. That's the only product type for which we don't have support of multi-source inventory. For all other product types, since now we have the support of the multi-source inventory functionality. Actually that was presented by Ivan. And it was all regarding the functionality which was implemented in the scope of this week. Another update would be shown by Alex, who will show you the preparation for regression and the preparation for the code freeze of Magento 2.3 branch, and what was done from MSI side to meet this requirement of the feature freeze, and because we are supposed to complete our work to provide the features, to provide the stable piece of code of MSI, which is supposed to be delivered in the scope of Magento 2.3 release. So, Alex, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Yes, I want to share with you guys, let me share my screen. I want to share with you a build, results of build we have last time, which shows us that all tests, MSI tests are green. We have several tests which are failing because of the test defect. It means that test is not, this test is randomly failing because of some conditions we have in these tests. But from MSI standpoint, from MSI part, we did everything to make this build green. And I also want to share with you different builds which were run not by me, by core engineers, and I can show you the same failure is happening on Magento mainline right now. So the same configuration page, the same problem, the same button cannot be clicked. And the other build also, this is not, and this build not containing MSI tests. We have 6 unstable tests. We currently in Magento working on making such tests stable. We have a group of people who is working on these issues. So in Magento, as soon as in Magento this will be fixed, we can say that MSI build is 100% green. But from MSI standpoint, we don't have any issues. All MSI tests are stable and green. We can see MSI multi-mode test suite has 86 green tests. MSI single mode has 15 tests, and somewhere in this suite list we have MSI sort order tests. There is only 4 tests, but these tests also green. MTF tests all green right now. While we were stabilizing this build, we skipped several of tests because they have much more complex problems. But currently, John Stannett working on making these tests unskipped and working properly. So he can share more info on how unskipping is going right now and what we want to accomplish in next step of making this build reliable for everybody. John?
Howdy. Okay, so yes, as Alex was saying, we've been working hard to stabilize this actual build to get everything green so that we can actually have it attached to the full PR process. In our work over the past week or two, we identified about 20 different MSI tests that were having flaky behavior that we had to go in and actually get updates on them. For most of them, we were able to update them and actually stabilize them, but there was a handful of MSI tests that we actually did have to end up skipping. Along with those MSI tests, we found some in core that was having issues when combined with MSI. So we ended up also skipping those tests, and we are going to actually work on getting them stable. One of the biggest issues that we are running into with these tests is test isolation. There are several tests that exist in, say, like B2B and EE, and we've had a few in MSI where the test is it's not cleaning up after itself. So if the test is messing with config variables, turning settings on and off, when the actual after step runs, there are no cleanup steps in the afterlog. This is incredibly important and something that we want to remind everyone to be more diligent on. I'm going to definitely, it's an improvement on myself too. We all do. We all miss these things, but it's very important for test isolation to make sure you clean up after yourself, because that has been a big stumbling block for us. That's why we had to skip this whole list of tests. And I can share my screen for a second to show you the list of tests that we are working on. So that's right now we're working under test 1631 here. These are the handful of MSI tests that we weren't able to actually stabilize before we decided to actually skip them and work on them over the rest of this week and for next week. So these are the MSI tests that we weren't able to fix. And then these are all the ones from B2B or EE that are having conflicting issues, again, for test isolation issues. These are all additional tests that are actually valid bugs have been open for them that are still open. So I have them here just so I can watch them, check on them. And as soon as the bug gets fixed, I can validate that the test is working and unskip it. Yes, I think that's all I have on my list for that update for y'all. You can monitor 1631 for all of our progress.
Cool. Thank you, John.
I also want to share that we had an issue with the sample data tests. Basically, Magento with MSI wasn't able to install, but after some investigation of MSI team, we found a solution for this. And as we can see that sample data functional tests succeeded with extension, so sample data tests also working properly. Probably this is it from my side.
Just to clarify, whether we currently have an issue with the simple data installation on B2B and the Enterprise Edition?
We have an issue with B2B and EE installation, but that's an infrastructure issue. Basically, what is happening with Magento B2B and EE, we have much more modules to install in Magento, and infrastructure has a really small timeout to wait until Magento will be installed. So basically what is happening, build reaching timeout, and Magento didn't install until this timeout. We are looking for the guy who can increase this timeout to wait until Magento will be installed. After this, I believe Magento sample data tests will be green either.
Cool. And I believe this question could be pretty interesting for Anton Kuril, because actually there This issue with the sample data installation, essentially for enterprise edition and B2B, we experience it because we have quite a lot of configurable products to be on installed there. And currently on a MSI branch, we have a dependency of price index on inventory index and the catalog search index on a price index. And actually, at the time of the installation of a lot of products, we have a lot of reindexation of dependent indexes. And actually, this introduced some performance degradation at the time of new product being created, or inventory updated, for example, or prices updated. And actually, I believe this is the main result why we have this slowdown and why we have this issue with the timeout for the sample data installation. So probably,
I think there are two or three problems here that you mentioned, right? So first, there is incorrect dependency between modules. Right?
Actually, we had a meeting with Misha, product manager who is currently in sustainable engineering. He approved, at least regarding the price index dependency on inventory, and existing.
He approved price index dependency or removal of price?
No, introducing of this dependency. Because actually, in fact, it was already introduced into the 2, but it was just not declared.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't. I'm not. I don't think that it's a product question of what modules depend on what modules. So we have to. I'd rather remove that dependency. What we have to do, in my opinion, is to make sure that that dependency is solved. So there might be dependencies between modules, but so price module depends on inventory module now, right? Or price behavior depends.
Yeah, price. Actually, it's not, but currently probably we need to revisit how invalidation happens.
Yes, so it should be pluggable behavior, so you don't need to have that dependency, and that's one problem that has to be resolved. And I think it makes. I'm not sure which team is better to fix how it happens.
I believe performance. I propose performance.
Okay, let's figure it out with performance team. And the other thing is degradation, and performance degradation that you mentioned is that. So my understanding is that during installation, you install sample data, and there is a lot of reindexation happening. Are we sure that we need reindexation there?
Probably no. So probably we need to make reindexation on schedule, which is supposed to fix this. But actually, in any case, we need to, we're introducing this performance degradation in any atomic operation which happens if update by schedule is enabled.
Okay, so those are two separate issues that are, I don't think, in scope of this feature or this discussion. Let's synchronize with performance team and figure out fixes for those two issues.
Okay, I'll do. But currently, probably for the sake of delivery of MSI, we will just increase the timeout for the sample data to make our builds green, because currently they work as expected. Cool. So probably that's all what we wanted to demonstrate you. There were 4 pretty cool features and update regarding all the builds running, etc. Anton probably is not in a very good mood because he missed the first presentation by Ricardo, but I will send him a recording so he can enjoy Ricardo's presentation after the demo, as well as Mark, who is not present on today's demo. But for all others, thank you very much for your time, and you made a great job. We have a really great progress, and thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your passion, and see you guys in a week. We will keep you updated as usual. Thank you, guys. And I will make a presentation because guys are calling me to make a presentation on the meetup. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.